to be sure.
Now we're live.
We're live.
We're live.
And I'm asking you this live. I should have done it before, but are we looking directly at the camera, or are we looking up above let's
talk to each other like we're having coffee.
There you go. That works too. Boom. Alex.
Noah.
Welcome to Peak.
Dude, this gym is unboxed. Unbelievable. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, pleasure.
All right, let me do my quick intro. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Alex Vidal. I am president of Related ISG International Realty and host of the show you're watching today, episode number 90 of the Closer Club. Ooh, number 90. Now,
I'm honored.
There are closers and then there are closers. This guy to my right, I have cheered him on. I've yelled his name. I've looked to him for inspiration when I'm suffering in the gym. His name is Noah Ohlsen. Most of you know by now I'm a CrossFitter. This guy is the number 2 CrossFitter, not in South Florida, not in the U.S., not in the East, not in the West, in the entire world. He is the ultimate beast. I've been after this guy for a while to come on. Noah, you ready to rock?
Thank you. Yeah, of course.
First question I always ask is backstory. Number 2 in the world in the 2019 CrossFit Games.
Yep.
Were you always an athlete? What was it like growing up?
Grew up playing sports, kind of a variety of sports. My dad actually played lacrosse collegiately, and so that was probably my main focus as a kid, but also played a little bit of flag football, tackle football, I think a year of t-ball, a year of soccer, a little bit of everything, but mostly lacrosse. And then when I got to high school, my high school didn't have a lacrosse team, so I had to switch it up. I wrestled for a year, and then I joined the swimming and water polo team, and that's what I did until I found CrossFit.
And when you were swimming, what was your distance?
You know, I was a bit of a shorter guy. I had started right in high school, so I didn't have the experience that most kids have. Sure. So I would do like the 50 to 100 freestyle, maybe a couple relays. If I was punished, and I remember specifically one time I had to do a 200 fly.
Okay.
Or was it 200 or 500? I don't know. It was just
probably 500. 200 you probably bang out pretty easy.
Yeah, it was miserable. I barely survived, but here I am, telling the tale.
And this is not even on here, when did you transition from somebody who had just discovered CrossFit to somebody who said, you know what, I'm actually pretty good at this, I'm going to compete? What was that light switch for you?
Pretty soon after I started, and I realized that there was the competitive side of it. I didn't really know when I started CrossFit what it entailed. I knew that it was kind of, I thought, militant in nature, and a training program where somebody's yelling at you and you're going hard and crawling under things and flipping tires. Obviously, it's so much more than that. Right. And I would say a couple months after starting CrossFit, I realized that, hey, there's the CrossFit Games, there are local competitions, there are a lot of outlets to express this fitness that I'm starting to develop. And I think 6 months after I had started doing CrossFit, the 2011 Open rolled around. So I competed in the Open, didn't quite qualify for regionals that year, but I was hooked.
Isn't that amazing? So, this is what's important for you guys to realize. 2011, he didn't even qualify. So it goes the Open, regionals, and then the Games.
Correct.
He didn't even qualify for the regionals, and here we are a few years later, and he's number 2 in the world. But you went to the Games how many years in a row?
So I just competed in 2019 in my 6th CrossFit Games, and I just qualified through the Open again this year for my 7th.
There you go.
Yeah.
So 6 CrossFit Games, so we're 2020, that takes you back to 2014.
Yep.
He didn't even qualify to make it to the second round his first year, and here you are 6. There's a lesson to be learned there. All right, I'm wearing a shirt. I love wearing the shirt of my guest, Happy But Hungry. Talk to me about Happy But Hungry. What does that mean?
So it can mean a lot of things to different people. What it means to me is to love what you're doing, enjoy the process, but also strive for more. And I kind of came up with it. I'll shorten the story a bit. My coach was talking to me about how most CrossFit competitors are kind of angry in nature, and they let that fuel them because you kind of have to go to a dark place when you're hurting in a workout. And he said he noticed in training that I'm always smiling, having fun. And I said, yeah, I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. I really love this stuff, and I have fun with it, but I don't want you to mistake that for me being content. I'm still very hungry. I want to be the best in the world. I'm ready to work hard. And it kind of came together that way. I said, I'm happy, but I'm hungry. Yeah. And yeah, that's it.
Well, what I love about that is I think almost every other entrepreneur I've had said, I had to go to a dark place to then turn around or to fight through those nights. And you're like, hey, yeah, that's one people's way of doing it.
For sure.
I did it with a smile on my face the whole way. I love that, dude. That's
Thank you. And I think it's cool that it can kind of apply to other walks of life too, even entrepreneurs. Like,
absolutely. Enjoy
the process, love what you're doing, and also continue to strive to make it better. You know?
See, what most people don't realize is whether you're a top-rated athlete in the world or you're an entrepreneur, there are so many common denominators, and that's why you can have entrepreneurs and have athletes and have athletes who are entrepreneurs like you.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that in a second.
I'm working on it.
Journaling with a purpose. I read the book The Secret lately.
Yeah.
And so now literally 3 times a day I'm writing down, I read out what my manifestations are for my life. My wife turned me on to it. It was amazing, right? But I also journal at the end of every night. I'm journaling about what I'm grateful for, what was something that happened spectacular in my day.
Yeah,
so then I saw you journaling, but then you said journaling with a purpose. Talk to me about that. I was really intrigued to ask this question.
Yeah, so I kind of have always been aware of the concept of journaling. Joanne, my fiance, bought me a journal a few years ago, and I didn't really know when to do it, and I didn't really know how to do it. So I would just kind of freestyle. I would find myself reaching for the journal mostly when I was upset and when I needed to vent.
Okay.
And so reading back through it, I found that it was a lot of negative stuff. And if I died and somebody found my journal, they would read it and they would think, man, this guy was pretty miserable. He had a lot of tough stuff going on in his life. And then I kind of shook my head and having that thought and was like, that is not me at all. I love my life. I'm super happy majority of the time. And so in order to kind of bring a little bit more of that out of myself, I decided to put a couple sections down that I would journal under to give myself some guidance. And the sections that I happened to choose the first time that I did it stuck and ended up becoming the 5 sections that I use to journal every day. And
can you share them?
Yeah, gratitude.
Okay.
Currently, so something that is going on that day, like this morning in my journal, I wrote podcast day with Alex, and an intention for the day, an affirmation to kind of reinforce whatever that intention is to give myself the confidence that I'll be able to reach it. And then the final one is serve. So something that I'm going to do for somebody else besides myself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Have you talked about the business of fitness? Have you thought about creating your own journal that you could put into your merch line?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. This morning I had a meeting with my merch team. Okay. And I'll show you a little preview of the merch line that we're coming out with around Wadapalooza time. And I think the journal is going to be included in that. Yeah. So awesome. we paired up with My Fit Journal, and they made us a custom front to back journal, and those should be available really soon.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's dude. This guy's energy is unreal. His passion is unbelievable. I love it.
Thanks, man.
Talk to me about this. Is a great segue. Business of fitness. So you took something that your passion is, which is competing, and you've turned it into this. Let's call it the business of Noah.
Yeah.
Right. So along the way, what are some of the business lessons you've learned that if you're getting married, you're going to, God willing, have a kid soon, right? All that stuff. That's the plan. Now your kid's 18 years later, and you're going to sit with them and share with them business lessons. What lessons would you share with them?
I'm still learning a lot. I don't know that I'd be able to give the most fantastic business advice. Luckily, I've paired myself up with some really great people that are more knowledgeable in that field. So Bijan, my manager, who's here, you met shortly ago. Bijan handles all of my contracts. He helps me with all of those projects, so he kind of helped me put together this merch team and decide on when we were going to launch some of that stuff and getting it up on the website. But I kind of realized after a little while that if I wanted to make this my lifestyle, if I wanted to train and compete full time and support myself in doing just that, I needed to take advantage of the platform that I was building. There are a lot of people that have a bunch of followers, maybe on Instagram, or have a recognizable name, but are not really capitalizing on that. And so I just do my best to build my brand in fitting my persona, just being positive, trying to inspire people, trying to put out content that's going to make people smile. And then, just being able to build certain monetized elements off of that. So some of it is just having awesome sponsors that love to support me. And then some of it is creating this merch, whether it's T-shirts, hats, journals, like we were talking about there. And and Bijan and I actually were just talking yesterday about other ways that we can take that a step further. So there are many options out there, right? You can start to do seminars, you can travel and make appearances places. So
well, when you're ready to announce any of that, please know you have an open forum on the Closer Club.
I appreciate
anytime.
That. Thank you.
Well, what I love most about it is everything you've said in your business, 2 things, and it segues into the next question, which is teams. He hasn't even looked at the questions, which I love when the guests don't look at the question. But everything is revolved around your passion and your authenticity. You're not doing anything that doesn't really represent who you are, and that's important for you guys that are trying to get on social media. By the way, if you hear the weights dropping, we're in a live gym. We had to ask them.
Authentic. There you go.
Authentic. We had to tell them to turn the music off before. They're gracious enough to host us. Teams, right? What I love about this is you're not doing this on your own. So when it comes to, let's break the two apart.
Yeah.
You talked about having people that are smarter than you when it comes to merch and monetizing who you are as a person.
Sure.
What about in your fitness, like in your actual competition for the games? Do you have coaches, and how important of a team is your team to you?
Yeah, for sure. In terms of my physical preparedness, I would say that the structure of my team is first my coach, Max El-Haj, who runs the group training think tank.
Okay.
He and I communicate very often, and he sends me all of my programming. I'm the type of person that I would have trouble kind of designing something for myself. I would rather somebody just tell me exactly what to do, and I will do it all.
Got it.
So he sends me my programming. We communicate on that. And then on game day, I kind of am a little bit more hands-off. Like I can take care of myself on game day. Training partners for me are super essential. I'm lucky enough that we have people drop in from all over the world. We've got a crew from Brazil here training with me now. If they're not here just visiting, then there are people that are here permanently at Peak that train with me every day. Yeah. And that, I feel like, for me, keeps it happy but hungry, right? If I was just hungry and not in that happy place where if I was flying solo, which I've done a few times, sometimes you have to, but if the majority of the time I was in the corner by myself, training, grinding away, I personally know that would be less enjoyable, a little bit more difficult, probably not as sustainable. So a coach, a training partner are probably two of the most important things for my training. And then outside of that, I feel like having a good support system and friend group. So my fiance, Joanne, whenever I get home from a tough training day like yesterday, it's nice to just be able to totally decompress with her, get a little bit of that lovey-doveyness to kind of build me back up. And then family and friends to support me and keep a balanced life outside of the gym.
Noah, can you remind the audience what you placed last year in the CrossFit Games?
Second place.
Second place in the world. He's got a coach telling him what he needs to do programming-wise. He changes his environment to get people to push him. And guys, this is what we're talking about. See, this is what I'm talking about. Same thing in business. Get somebody to guide you. Surround your environment with a winner environment.
That's cool.
And you can reach the top level. This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I like that.
I don't know if you can see it, but there's literally goosebumps talking about
Nice,
this.
man. That's good.
All right, talk to me about, I love common denominators. Let me see where we're at. So we talked about teams and all that. Talk to me about common denominators. Like when you look at you or Matt Frazier or Rich Froning or the Camille LeBlancs or Jason Khalipas,
what makes all of those
What would
great?
You say, if you were to say one thing about them that gets them to where they are, what would you say is it?
I think, ironically, Matt and I both have had phrases at different periods of time that had the words hard work in them.
Sure.
Matt's thing is hard work pays off. Back in the day, I used to say nothing replaces hard work. So I think that is something that has to be done. If you want to be great, you have to work hard. And again, that means something different for everybody. My like new slogan that we're working on is going to be work hard, have fun. For me, that balance makes sense. For some other people, Matt is good at just grinding and working hard. But I think that everybody is willing to go there, to be mentally tough. I did a session yesterday that was miserable on the assault bike and the rower. And there was that internal battle that I had, and I was thinking, man, I don't think I can sustain the paces that were programmed for me it was 80 minutes of intervals.
Jesus
I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through the 80 minutes, but just set by set, I was able to keep myself going, and when I finished it, I survived, and I felt really proud of the fact that I was able to push through, and it made me feel determined and confident and more prepared for whatever competition I have next. So that was all just one thing. That's the hard work. Another common denominator.
But that one in and of itself is great. It's like a chipper wad, right?
Yeah.
You look at a chipper wad, and for those of you that are watching that don't know, a chipper wad is like a laundry list of things that you need to do.
Yeah, you're chipping away at
it. And when you look at it in its entirety, you're like, man, I'm never going to finish this shit. But if you take it step by step,
piece by
you chip
piece.
away. That's awesome, man.
For sure.
All right, last question I always wrap up with, a book, podcast, or TED Talk recommendation for the audience. Or all three.
Yeah, okay. Let me try to go in order.
You can pick either or the three if you want to.
Okay, I'll try to do all three. Book, I love the book Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Okay.
Just a really cool story of kind of rags to riches. He created something out of nothing, and now Nike is one of the biggest, most recognizable brands in the world. If you haven't read that, I would suggest that.
I'm reading Split the Difference right now by Chris Voss, the FBI negotiator.
Nice.
You should maybe check it out.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
He was the lead hostage negotiator for the FBI, now turned, coach and all that. He's got a great book called Split the Difference.
I'm sure he's got lots of interesting stories.
Well, the audiobook, I'm in the middle of it now.
Cool.
It's unbelievable. Then I'm going to do Shoot Dog next.
Nice.
So that's
very cool.
All right, so podcast?
Podcast. Obviously, your podcast.
All right.
There you go. I'm honestly not a huge podcast listener in general. It sounds like a terrible excuse that I don't have time, but I'm in here training a majority of the day, and so the audio that I'm hearing is just music because that's what people like to have on. But if I'm like in my sauna, the podcast that I feel like I'll turn to the most, I like Jay Shetty's podcast.
Sure.
I don't know if you've ever listened to it. Just really cool, insightful, inspirational, positive, talking about kind of treating everybody equally, loving people, and being a positive influence. And then what was the final one?
TED Talk.
TED Talk. That is something that I haven't really taken a deep dive into yet. So if you have any recommendations for me and the rest of the folks out there.
One of the most powerful, there's two that I can think of off the top of my head. Simon Sinek, talking about the power of why. And he talks about Apple, Martin Luther King, and the Wright brothers and why they're so successful.
Love all those.
And the other one, you'd actually love this one, Sean Achor, about happiness in the workplace.
Okay.
And being with your journaling with purpose, that one actually you'd really like. 12 minutes, hilarious.
Nice.
And it's great.
Awesome. I'm going to write those down and listen to them.
Noah, this was everything I expected.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so
I
much for
appreciate that. Same to you.
Funny story. I'd been after him for a while, and then I ran into him at the Related ISG holiday party at the wharf, and I grabbed him. I'm like, dude, we're doing a podcast.
I'm glad you did, because honestly, those messages get away from me. They kind of get lost in the mix of other stuff. So
oh God, so many DMs on Instagram.
I'm glad we're here.
Dude, before we go, you have to see his dog, Maximus, right?
Yep.
Maximus,
Max, come here, buddy.
Come here.
Come sit everybody on camera.
All right, I'm going to turn the camera because you probably can't see him. But
come here. Come.
Look at this guy.
Come here.
Look how cute he is.
Max, come.
Look at this guy.
Boy. Say hello to everybody on the podcast.
Love it. All right, Noah, we're going to finish up. Any parting words for the audience?
Stay happy, stay hungry.
There you go.